Atlas Audio Podcast Network.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for this day.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Do you like wine? Do you like women's history? Do you hate Nazis? Then you're in the right place, motherfucker. Welcome to Whining About Herstory, the women's history podcast where we whine about women from history that you probably haven't heard of, but definitely should have, while my trash alarm goes off, and we drink some wine while doing it. I'm Emily.
I'm Kelley.
How's everyone doing today? Welcome.
Welcome, welcome. Welcome in, y'all.
It is a truly blustery day here in Minnesota. It's pretty nuts.
So I looked it up earlier because I was curious, and it said the regular wind, so the standard wind, was between 25 and 40 miles per hour, with gusts of up to 55 miles per hour, and I was like, yeah, it's a wee bit windy out there.
All I can hear is the scene from Twister where the lady's like, I gotta go, we got cows. The cows are fucking flying around.
Well, like I felt very Midwestern today because I looked out the window and the grass next to us hasn't been mowed yet, and it was like waving in the wind. Like, you know when you see those like really like movies where they show
the ripples,
like the Midwest, and it's just wheat blowing in the wind. It was that, but grass. It was very pretty, but I was just like, Jesus, it's windy outside.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of construction going on by my work. So when I left work, having forgotten my sunglasses for the first time in forever, my eyes were greeted by being blasted by loose sand and gravel. And I don't know if I'll ever fully recover. It was like, because I was like,
you'll have sand and gravel in your eyes for the rest of your life.
I mean, it's normal to blink and hear a crunchy sound, right? That's probably definitely fine. Not that I can afford to go to the doctor and figure it out. So today, in honor of Sophia, we are drinking a glass of Lazy Bones Cabernet Franc, Paso Robles, California. Oh. And I love this bottle of wine because it's like a very Art Deco kind of art style. And it shows a woman on a bed with like a bunch of pillows and blankets reaching over, and she's reaching for her cat. And she's petting the cat.
Yeah, I do really like it. It's like black and white Art Deco, and it's very nice.
And like with the gold and the checker pattern, it's really, really nice. So the back of this wine, which also has an illustration of the cat running under a blanket, which I'm just like, yep, these are cat people. They get it. I don't care if you call me lazy bones. I love to lounge away the day alone. Why mix with others when being myself is so beautiful? When the day's at my pace, I can relish small pleasures like ripe cherries, spiced blackberries, the aroma of sweet wood and fresh herbs. After all, there's no shame in putting off for today what can truly wait till tomorrow. What a
Well, okay then.
That's a much more beautiful way of saying, no, I do not have the capacity for it. That's a tomorrow Emily problem.
Yeah. That's I'm going to get drunk and not think about my problems.
Yeah. And then it also says the best part of wasting the whole day is that it's wholly yours to waste. And like in our hustle 24/7 culture, I think we need a little more like there's being lazy, and then there's enjoying downtime, actively relaxing, which is something that I think, Kelley, I know you and I struggle with.
Yeah.
So,
we're always doing something somehow.
yes, whether we like it or not.
Right. We tend to overbook ourselves.
Entirely too much. This is the second time I've tried to volunteer for our local pride and have had a conflict because I'm just like triple booked.
I was going to ask
every
you
month,
if
all
you were
month.
going.
Yeah, no, unfortunately. So,
Good
I
job.
mean, there's a baby shower I'm going to, so it's like a nice, lovely thing. Last time we were going to Texas, so
It was a few years ago, but yeah.
yeah. But yeah, unfortunately, I won't be able to attend, but I'm sure it will be a lovely time. And then maybe I'll be back in town in time for some of the after party stuff. They're having like an event at one of the local breweries, and I'm like, maybe I'll just like bike on down there.
Yeah. Well, what I thought was cool is they have like a teen one, and then they have like the adult one, which is nice.
And I love that. I love the sense of inclusivity, and I love keeping it age appropriate. So cheers to Sophia, who has sponsored this glass of wine. I think this is her fourth glass, because we didn't drink last time because I was super hungover.
Yeah,
like it was bad. It was not a good place to be. So if you would like to sponsor a glass in an episode like Sophia did, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/WAH pod and sponsor a glass for as little as $5, or sponsor a whole bottle for $15, or sponsor several glasses. And we're just go and have fun with it.
like Sophia.
Money, please. All right. Cheers to Sophia and lazy days.
Cheers.
It's kind of a clunky.
Good clink. I thought it was a good one, though.
I clinked it with my giant UWRF mug. I used to hold my pencils. I thought,
as one does.
I thought you'd appreciate that.
I do. Our old alma mater.
Oh my God, I love this. This feels.
I mean, it sounds like it would be heavenly.
Yeah, this tastes like one of those wines that you want to drink on a rainy day, where you're just like in your comfy clothes, in bed, watching some Frasier with the cat, with the dogs, which is basically my Easter, except I didn't drink wine. I drank mimosas.
It's close enough.
It was a good time. Good time was had by all. All right, Kelley. So who are you whining about today?
Hey, look that you remembered I went first. Good job.
I did, because I was going to say because you told me right before we started recording, but it's because my story's kind of a bummer. So I was like, oh, thank God I'm going last.
Oh. So we're going to end on a low note.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. I mean, bittersweet symphony.
I'll let you know by the verve pipe. I'll let you know after. You can ask me. I'll tell you if it's bittersweet.
Okay.
So I am whining about Sarah B. Cochran, the Queen of Coal.
You know what I love about people with a B for their middle initial? It makes their whole name sound like a sentence. Like, oh yeah, Sarah she B. Cochran. What does that mean? You don't have to know. It's just funny.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
So the middle name is Boyd, by the way. Her name was Sarah Boyd Moore. That's how she was born.
Very nice. Feels very Southern.
Yeah. It's a very interesting, that's a very odd middle name. Not one you hear these days. But that's because this story does not take place in these days. But yeah.
Does it
Sarah was born
place in later days?
No, it's from the future. I'm a time traveler, just no one knows it. But Sarah was born on April 22nd, 1857. So,
okay, so
just a few days.
After days.
Yeah.
The before times.
The before times. So she was born to a pair of farmers named James and Sarah B. So she is also a second. So
Sarah B. Moore.
Sarah B. Moore.
Sarah B. More than you.
Sarah B. Moore
than
second.
everybody. Bow, 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 bow.
Yeah.
Love it.
So yeah, she grew up with farmers. She had a few siblings, and they grew up in a log house in Fayette County, Pennsylvania. So that's where we're at. And I couldn't find, and like none of the articles I could find talked about whether or not like her family owned the land, or if they were like sharecroppers, or if they were like tenants and just farming for someone. But we know that they were very poor, to the point where Sarah and her sister couldn't attend school on the same day because they had one dress that they shared and they would alternate. Because this was back when like women had to go out in public in a dress. So like I'm sure at home they had like clothes that they could wear, but it was probably like men's clothes or like rags or stuff. But they had one dress and they would alternate who went to school.
Oh my goodness.
They were that poor.
I wonder how did they like alternate every other Friday then? Because it's 5 days a week.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe they're just like, Fridays we don't go to school.
Can you imagine like your sister gets a stain on it? And it's like pictured, like you get the dress on picture day and your sister ruins the dress. It's like, we have one dress, bitch.
Like the day before, you're like, God damn
I
it.
will kill you. The only stain that should be on this dress is your blood after I kill you. Like sisters can't share anything, let alone one fucking dress. That's rough.
Yeah, I would not do well. Like I was too like rough and tumble when I was younger that like I would have ripped it or something like that, like it would not have ended well. But as she was growing up, she would supplement her family's income by working as a maid for the nearby wealthy homeowner named James Cochran. So James Cochran is credited as the first person to sell Collinsville Coke commercially. So Coke as in like the byproduct of coal. So it's like coal Coke, not like Coke, the soda.
So not cocaine. Not
cocaine
wine.
Not Coke, the soda. It is, like coal Coke. It's and it's used in like making steel. So like this is a very good time to be a Coke seller, to be honest.
Is there ever a bad time to be a Coke seller though?
Probably not, I guess.
I mean, maybe the 80s
like prior to the Industrial
Revolution.
Crackdown on drugs.
That war on drugs really, killed everyone's buzz. But the 80s, man, all those high power, what are they called? Hedge fund managers snorting Coke.
Yeah.
Comparing business cards.
And everything, yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, so we're talking the industrial application of Coke, which is, byproduct of coal. And so, this is a person that had become very wealthy on, so he also had like coal mines, and that's like, so his fortune was built on coal mines and then Coke production. And he was the owner of the largest number of Coke ovens in America at this time. So that's who she's going to work for. Like he lived nearby, and she started working as a maid.
You could call him a Coke
household.
Kingpin.
Yeah, there you go. And so while she was there, and working, she met obviously his family, but his oldest son fell in love with her. So his oldest son's name is Philip, and he was obviously like being groomed to take over this like empire his father had built. He seems like a really good dude, actually. And so he fell in love with Sarah, and it was a mutual attraction. And so, despite the fact that she was a maid and obviously didn't come from money, they still got married. And James didn't seem to have a problem with it. So I think that was cool. I was like, good. Like, we're not dealing too much with that.
I did not expect everyone to be so cool in this story. I'm like,
oh no. Like, I was like,
she's working
when
for
I read that she like went
magnate.
To work for a wealthy.
She falls in love with his son. I'm like, the opportunity for abuse of power and status and taking advantage of her is so rife. But everyone was just like, how about we just don't do that? Like, it's that easy. Just don't be a dick. They were doing this in the 1800s.
When I was worried, like, when I first started reading, I was like, oh God, is this going to be one of those, like, you can't marry her, you don't get the fortune, and, like, there's all that. And it's like, no, it seems pretty chill.
See, I listened to
which I was like, that seems weird.
I listened to too many true crime podcasts because in a true crime podcast, here's how the story would end. She got pregnant and he murdered her, and the father got the son off because he's so rich and powerful. That's how that story ends on a different podcast.
Alternatively, she gets pregnant, the dad murders her because he doesn't want his empire ruined. That's also a thing. But no. So yeah, they would go on and they would get married in September of 1879. And literally 4 days short of 1 year later, Sarah would give birth to their only child, a son, James Philip Cochran. So named after his grandpa and his dad. Very cute.
And, like, totally deserving of it. James seems chill. Philip seems chill. Like.
Right. I know, like, sometimes people name, like, their kids after people, and I'm like, why? Like, that person was an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, but no, this one's okay, actually.
This is like if a Disney movie happened in real life. Like, the poor maid goes to work for the rich family and falls in love with the son. And, like, maybe there's a little drama, but, like, everyone loves her and they all love each other and they live happily ever after.
Right. Like, but everyone's chill for some weird reason, and it's fine.
Great.
It's weird. Not used to this.
I know. I love it, but it's uncomfortable. Like,
yeah, it's like,
Kelley, when are you going to betray me?
I mean, I'm going to start in on death now. So Sarah's father-in-law, James, would die in 1894. So, like, they were married for, like, 14 years before, and that's the dad. So, like, the dad died. And as planned, Philip did take over his father's business. What I thought was really cool, okay, we'll get to the, like, so at the time, laws prevented women from working in or around coal mines, which I was like, okay, whatever. But Philip really wanted Sarah to, like, be a part of the industry and learn the business. And, like he was like, she's super intelligent and, like, she's my wife, so I want to, like, include her in what I do. And so, like, he started teaching her about, like, the industry and about coal mining and all of this stuff. And I mean, even today, mining and stuff like that is very much a man's world still, but even more so back then. Like, these are, like, the owners of these companies are the men with cigars in, like, rich boardrooms, you know, like, so the fact that, yeah, he's like, no, I want Sarah to, like, learn this business was just absolutely insane. And they kind of, like, it sounds like they kind of just worked as, like, a partnership. Like, Philip's name was on, like, all the documents and stuff, and he was, like, the owner. But, like, it sounds like, yeah, he kind of just brought her in as, like, a de facto partner in this business.
That's amazing. Cool. We have like, two Philip's kings in this episode. James and Philip for the wins.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Philip would pass only 5 years after his father did.
Oh, damn.
Which is very sad. But again, he pulled a fucking king move, and his will made Sarah the executress, which I didn't know they had a different term for women. That is an executive of an estate, so that's cool.
Everything has to be fucking gendered. That being said, executrix, way cooler than executor.
Way better word. Yeah.
Everyone should be an executrix.
I would much prefer that. Yeah. So yeah, like, she was the owner of the estate, and he left her a total of, like, 1/3 of the estate, and then put the rest in trust for his son for when he turned 21, but stipulated that Sarah had full charge, care, and control of those other 2/3 until his son became 21. So it's like Sarah has full control until the son turns 21, and then when the son turns 21, he gets 2/3 and Sarah still gets 1/3.
So I have to say, that is putting a huge amount of trust in her, because if she controls the money that's in the trust for the son, She could blow that.
Well, in the business and everything. Like, she could completely tank the business and then the son doesn't get anything.
Exactly.
Except for maybe, like, land. Yeah. So, like, he clearly thought very highly of his wife, which is a good thing. So, yeah, Sarah went about business kind of running the company, and her son would go off to college and unfortunately die of pneumonia before he hit the age of 21.
Kelley, stop killing everyone.
I know. So this left Sarah widowed and childless at only 44 years old. But that also meant she was now in full control of everything.
Yeah.
Because he's never going to hit his 21st birthday. So, like, you know, like, and it was a freak accident. You know, like, he got pneumonia while he was at college. Like, yeah, it was really horrible. And, like, they kind of talked about how
if this was a different kind of podcast,
yeah, exactly.
I would have some questions.
We'd be talking about different stuff. Yeah. But no, like, and she really did, like, she kind of withdrew for a little while and, you know, stuff like that. But she couldn't sit still for too long because she had to assume all of her husband's responsibilities, both before her son died and then after, even more so. And so this meant she was now, like, a member of several different boards. And this company that her father-in-law and then husband and herself had built spanned multiple states. It was in Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia. He was also, her husband had also been the president of Brown and Cochran Coke Company, Washington Coal and Coke Company, a few other Coke companies, a bridge company, the First National Bank, like, and so she, like, de facto was now all of these things. And she also, like, founded their own Coke company called Cochran Coal and Coke. And also founded the First National Bank of Perryopolis. I assume Perryopolis is a town, but I'm like, that just sounds silly.
That is a fantastic name. I would bank there just for the name.
Yeah, right. Just have, like, checks that say, like, Bank of Perryopolis.
God damn it. Should we start a bank?
So, yes, we should.
I have $5.
So, yeah, exactly. I'll talk more about, like, what happens, but I just want to say, like, she remained active as the head of the business, doing all of these things, like, well into her 70s. So she's 40-ish, 40 to 44 when this starts, and she maintains the business well into her 70s. And as far as I read, it didn't go under. She just kind of was like, okay, someone else can kind of do it. And remember, this is a Coke company in a time where Coke is in demand because they're starting to make steel. And so, like, this company is in competition with many other companies that are kind of doing the same thing. However, like, the records show that under her leadership, this business that she inherited grew threefold. And it's actually said they're pretty sure it expanded to even sell Coke overseas to, like, England and France and Germany and stuff. And this is kind of where she, during this time frame, like, her whole later life, this is kind of where she gained that notoriety of being, like, the nation's only coal queen, because she was the only woman doing it.
You're right. See, I was gonna call her a Coke queen. Coal queen
she's
is
doing coal mining too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So she also didn't sit idle, like, physically either. And after she was widowed and her son died, she kind of took some time for herself. Like, yeah, she was still running the business, but she also decided to do some traveling, which I'm like, yeah, self-care, you know? So she traveled to Europe and Asia, and, like, she would keep coming home, but, like, it was kind of over the course of 8 years. She would go places and come back, and, like, you know, and she actually frequently visited St. James Park in London. And it strongly inspired her to build her own Tudor-style mansion, which she named Linden Hall. And this is in St. James Park in Dawson, Pennsylvania. If you scroll down in my notes, I have a picture of it. It's a very beautiful home. It is fucking massive. And that is, like, the biggest understatement I think I can say. Because I'm trying to like look up the stats. I didn't put them in my notes, but then I'm like, I actually want to talk about this.
I want to go to there. I want to live
Right?
in there.
It's so cool. It's so pretty.
I could live in there and the actual owners would never know I'm there. We would just like never run into each other.
Exactly. Like you literally could. Like you could just hide in this house.
It's
So yeah, it's called Linden. Yeah. It's called Linden Hall, and it's a 35-room mansion. It took 2 years to build it. And to quote, Jurassic Park, she spared no expense.
Yes.
I mean, she obviously like fucking had the money to do it, but it also had its own railroad stop.
Oh my God.
And it had a 3-panel Tiffany window designed by Agnes Northrup, who's like a fairly famous like glass worker. And yeah, it was a whole thing. She brought in 60 Italian stonemasons like from Italy who did all of the masonry work. And what was cool is like she brought them over here and then she said like, if you want to stay, I will sponsor you for citizenship. So like that was super cool of her. She's like, I'm not just going to like bring you over here and send you home unless that's what you want. But if you want to stay, I will sponsor you for citizenship.
You know that there are some little Italian Americans running around right now where this is their immigrant story. Like this is how their grandparents came over to the United States.
Like my dad built this fucking house. I mean, it's
my
beautiful, but yeah, it's huge. So the home was dedicated on Christmas Day, 1913. It is said to have cost around $2 million. It is still standing. So like just tiny background on the house. It was eventually purchased by the United Steelworkers of America, which I think is kind of is funny, but I guess they use a lot of coke. So like they kind of have some skin in the game, and it was fully restored to its original condition. And at the time, and I think this is still true, it now largely serves as like a training center for steelworkers or like housing for them. But you can also rent it out for like weddings and conferences and events. And it also now has an 18-course golf course attached to it, which was not there when Sarah built it. But I'm like, yeah, that's on par for the course, I feel like. And that was a pun I didn't intend to make.
I see what you did there.
I didn't intentionally do that.
It kind of does look like a country club house. You know, like that you'd see at a golf, like those really ritzy golf courses. Except this is original. Yeah. I mean, this was someone's actual house. Also, like this might.
Well, I just think it's insane that she built.
I was just gonna say this might be me and Egg's dream house because it's old, it's gorgeous, and it has its own train station.
I know. I'm like, I want a house with a train station. We'll buy it together and you guys can have like one wing and we'll have the other wing. And there's still going to be too much room for us.
We're going to be texting each other and just be like, I'm so tired. I can't walk across the house. Can we record remote tonight?
Yeah, exactly. Like, the internet should be fine. But I mean, it is massive. I find it interesting that she built this like 35-room mansion. And it's just her.
I love her so much.
I know, I do too. But
do you really need all
Sarah
that
wouldn't
space?
Only just...
No, but I want it.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, no, I just really want a pretty Tudor house because I visited London and it's beautiful. So she didn't only just spend her fortune on herself. Like she did do that too, but she didn't only do that. She also used her fortune and her position as well as actually her house, because she used it as a meeting point, to publicly support women's suffrage, among other things, but we're starting with suffrage. So in 1915, she actually opened her home to host Western Pennsylvania's largest suffrage fundraiser ahead of the state's suffrage referendum. And this fundraiser was advertised in newspapers as open to everyone. There was at least 500 people in attendance to like listen to people talk about suffrage.
I would just go to like snoop around the house, honestly.
Yeah, I would be like, is everyone distracted? I'm just gonna take a peek.
Everyone's
around
got their
here.
cheese and like little toothpicks. Everyone's got a beverage. Okay, I'm gonna go look for the bathroom. And I just like I get lost and I'm still living there today because they
exactly.
never found me.
Yeah, you're just like hidden in a corner somewhere. So she also actively supported education, like of multiple people. So she didn't do it publicly. Some of the things she did publicly, but one of the things she did very quietly that she wouldn't make a big deal of, but she would invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in like grants and just like money to help specifically like local men and women who were showing promise and expressed an interest in education, and she would like fund their education. Like, yeah, she wouldn't make a big deal about it or be like, oh, look at me giving money. She would just be like, nope, I'm going to like essentially sponsor you to go to school, which I think is super cool. And she also would found 2 halls. Like they ended up both being called Cochran Hall, which I think is funny. But she funded one that was a men's dormitory at Allegheny College, and another which was a women's dormitory at Otterbein College. And she also was a lifelong benefactor of Phi Kappa Psi, which is the fraternity that her son had pledged to before he passed.
Oh.
And she would give a lot of money to them to the point where she actually became like the mother of the West Virginia Alpha chapter of the fraternity, because she was just like around and doing a lot for them, which I think is really, really cute.
That's so cute.
I know. I was like, you get to be a mother to everyone. So after she donated the like men's dormitory to Allegheny College, they actually made her one of like the female trustee, and she was known as the Lady Elect of Allegheny because she was the first female trustee, and she served from 1908 to 1936. She was also a trustee for several other colleges, which I think is really, really cool.
I love that.
One of the other things
this is a woman who grew up going to school every other day because she and her sister had to share a dress.
Yeah.
And she is, through an insane set of circumstances, has found herself in this position, and she's using it for good. You know, she found herself married to like a wealthy guy, but she's also built up her own fortune in running the business and helping it grow. It's not like she was just handed all this money and was like, I guess I'll go shopping. Like, I don't know. It's so interesting where she started, and then what's she's doing all of, you know, especially the education aspect, because she literally couldn't go to school every day because her and her sister were sharing an outfit.
Yeah, and so she's like, I'm going to sponsor people that want to go to school because, like, I didn't get that opportunity and I want other people to.
I hope she, donated
I think it's just so cool because you got to remember, like, this entire time she's still running. Yeah, exactly. She's like, dress for you. But she's still running the business during all of this, too.
Yeah. Again, she's not sitting on her ass
because she did that up at like into her 70s. So
yeah, but it's not like, oh, I've got all this money, I guess I don't know what to do with it.
Right?
I guess,
she's not just like a spoiled rich person.
Yeah, she's actively like running and growing the business.
Yeah. So religion also played a very strong part in Sarah's life. Like I couldn't find if she was like really religious prior to like the passing of everyone close to her or not. But we do know like later in life it was really important to her, and she in 1907 she sponsored World Sunday School Exposition in Rome. Not sure what that was, but like sounds cool. She also hosted Methodist bishops of the world at Linden Hall in 1916. So it was like all of these different Methodist bishops like came and stayed and like had a conference in her house. And apparently it was the first time that a meeting like that had ever been held in a private home. So that's kind of cool. She also funded the building of a church. So they made a copy of, sorry. Nope. she financed the construction of what would end up being known the Philip G. Cochran Memorial United Methodist Church, so named after her late husband, in Dawson, so that town where she built her house. And this was dedicated in 1900, and she would actually later also add a brick house to be used as a parsonage in an area for Sunday school. So, you know, place for priests to live and then a Sunday school. So that's pretty cool. And like one of the reasons she built a lot of stuff in Dawson is because that was like a town that really had benefited from the coal and coke industries. Like, so like and that was one of the places they mined. So like they had kind of helped build the town. And so, yeah, it was just like this whole big thing that they like did this. But yeah, so she had noticed that the old church was getting more attendance than it could fit. So then that's when she replaced it with like the Gothic structure that would become the Philip G. Cochran Memorial United Methodist Church, which is a mouthful.
It is,
that
but how often
also still stands.
How often do you see a church that's not named after like Jesus, Mary, Joseph, the Lord, or a saint?
Yep.
Like that's pretty wild. Like Philip G, I don't remember him from, you know, catechism or whatever.
Right. Well, so the initial church she built was dedicated in 1900, and then they changed it to a more extravagant Gothic style in 1927. So it is approaching 100 years old in the new style. It still stands and apparently is still like jaw-droppingly beautiful. So I'm like, I kind of just want to go and like look at this house and look at this look at the church and all of this stuff, you know, that she funded. Like, yeah, maybe she didn't build it herself, but like, does it really matter? Like,
I have to say, Gothic architecture.
I just Googled
timeless.
it, and yeah, it's freaking beautiful.
It's always beautiful in every time period.
Well, like the Gothic style is a very like classic church style. But yeah, it has a limestone exterior. It has a 105-foot steeple. And then like just an absolutely gorgeous like sanctuary with stained glass windows. And some of the stained glass windows actually memorialize her husband and son, as well as like gospel writers and stuff like that. And then there is a 12-foot copy of Raphael's Sistine Madonna that also hangs in the church that she had commissioned. And what's funny is when she purchased this 12-foot copy of the Madonna, because it's only one of 2 copies in the entire world, and then there's the original. So there's 3 I'm sure there's more copies now because people take pictures and reproduce it, but like at the time there were 3 copies. And she outbid Andrew Carnegie of Carnegie Hall to be able to get this painting.
Holy fucking shit. That's the dude who built all the libraries.
She was like, I want this.
Because he's like, I got so much fucking money. I'm just going to start building libraries all over the place. Oh my God.
Yeah. And she's like, I also have money.
I love.
And I want this painting.
I also love that she is like her husband and her son are present in so much of what she does. And that like that you can tell that she really like she always carried that loss with her.
Yeah. And what I think is really cool, and when I was like reading about this church that she made, people say it's like probably one of the easiest things to overlook, but located on one of the aisles on the side on the heavy wooden pew, there it's about halfway to the altar. There's a plate on a pew that just reads Mrs. Sarah B. Cochran, and it's like on the pew where she regularly sat. So what's interesting is, and this is a quote from the chairman it's like the uncle of the chairman of the board of trustees for this church. So like he knows his stuff. And it says, quote, people with normal egos that spent all this money to build this church would want a plush seat right in the front or in the back where they could be artificially humble. She wanted to be right in the middle, right with all the people, because that's the kind of person she was. Because it's true, like, you think about it, yeah, people would be like, oh, I want, like, a fancy chair or something different, or, yeah, like, right in the front so I'm right in front of the preacher or right in the back, so everyone has to like walk by me and like know that I funded this. And she's like, I just want to sit in the middle with like everybody else.
I love that.
But
this is how to be a millionaire. Like this is the way to do it correctly.
Just a cool bit of like trivia I found in doing my notes is the chairman of the board of trustees of the church is a woman named Kimberly Hess, and her great grandmother was a woman named Henrietta Spote Stillwagon, and she was one of the people that Sarah funded to go to school. So like there's this like really weird cool connection.
Education
that, like, ties
is
it all
the
together.
gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
And in like people researching Sarah's life and stuff, not that like the money matters, but obviously like because she did a lot of it quietly, but like we're able to kind of see the records of it now. And like it's easy to see like between the dormitories and funding schools and working with fraternities and building a church, like her philanthropic efforts impacted thousands of lives. And clearly, like, yeah, with even seeing Kimberly Hess and then her great grandmother, like clearly improved like the lives of generations. And so it's estimated that she donated about $2 million prior to her death, which in 21st century figures is more than $43 million. In philanthropic, just across the board efforts that she did.
She's doing it right. Take notes, guys who are launching their girlfriends into fucking space.
Yeah. So I actually have a quote from Kimberly Hess, the one that's the board of trustees that her grandmother or great grandmother got support from Sarah. And she said, my mom put me in the stock market when I was 10. And so I was always familiar with the business, but I would also grow up hearing about Sarah Cochran and visiting Linden Hall. And she was a model for me as far as having a business career. I think because of Sarah and my great-great-grandmother, I always saw capitalism and philanthropy as related. You can't have one without the other. And I saw how they lived their lives and lifted up the entire community. I saw a woman in business and never thought that feminism and capitalism couldn't work together in some way. So
that's really, really interesting.
That's literally someone like talking about like Sarah's impact on their life.
Well, and
which I thought was cool.
I like how she says, like, you know, she always saw capitalism and philanthropy as related. And a lot of people like that is not a common philosophy today.
No.
You know,
a lot of people see them as like opposed.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Or the idea that if you have a lot of money and being compelled to help others with it as like, no, it's their money. You can do whatever they want with it. It's like, well, when you're hoarding an obscene amount of wealth that is actually altering the lives of people across the globe, you don't get to just be like, it's my money. I can do what I want with it. Because you are negatively impacting other people, especially if you get that money through, you know, exploitation anyway. Yeah. But like I like the idea that it's not just hoarding wealth, it's what you're using that wealth for. Because maybe if we didn't put such an emphasis on how much money someone has and more on what they're doing with it, you know?
Yeah.
Which is not launching their girlfriends into fucking space.
Yeah, don't do that. Unless she wants to go to space, then you can help her do that. But like, otherwise, don't do that.
I mean, I don't care if she even wants to go to space. Like, she can become an astronaut. She can do it herself. She's fine. She's a capable woman.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
Right. Exactly. So in her later life, Sarah would actually be injured in an accident. I tried to do some research and all I could really no one gave me a straight answer. It basically sounded like she suffered from a fall of some sort or something like that. Someone literally said like she blew in the wind, and I'm like, I mean, if it was a day like today,
that actually happened to my grandmother.
Something happened at her. Yeah,
that literally happened to my grandma.
At her home. it like happened at her home, and she like, it sounded like she got blown into a door, or a door like got blown shut on, something like that. And so she injured like her hip and her arm, and so she was like partially invalid, but not really, like, because she still worked and stuff. But yeah, so she had like a bad hip, and she also fractured her arm, and so like kind of struggled a little bit more for like the last 15 years of her life, but was still doing really well. And she would die in 1936. So she was, I don't know why it didn't math for me, but 80-ish years old. I'm going to go with that. I can't math right now.
Math is hard.
So, I mean, she lived a really long life. And after she passed, they held a memorial service at the Philip G. Cochran Memorial United Methodist Hospital. And the theme of her memorial service was the ministry of woman. And it, the whole service was about like a bunch of different ministers speaking about like female biblical figures in Sarah's life and like all of this stuff. And I think that's actually really cool.
I'm putting that in my funeral like vision board book. Because that is amazing. I love the idea of a funeral having a theme too.
Yeah, I do too.
Oh my god!
But yeah, like I don't have a legacy because I like kind of added it in the middle with Kimberly talking about her. But yeah, like she touched so many lives and changed so many lives for generations, but also showed that a woman could enter a man's world of industry and do well. Like the company grew threefold with her at the head of it and moved overseas and all of this stuff. And it also showed that like, yeah, you can spend your wealth on yourself, but also be someone that's philanthropic and sponsoring citizenships and, you know, doing all this stuff. Like it doesn't have to be one or the other. You can do both. But yeah, that's Sarah, the Queen of Coal.
I think what also blows my mind, and obviously her being a woman has no bearing on her failure or success in the coal industry. But this is a person who had like no fucking education, was working as a maid, and then just like learned about the business. And when her husband died, she took it over and fucking nailed it. Like that's the part that's so incredible to me. She's like learned about this and was like, I run the business good now. Yay. I'm like, Jesus.
Well, and what I love is like her husband probably didn't foresee himself dying so soon, but like he still had the foresight of like, I'm going to teach her to run this business. Because one, like I want her running it with me, but like two, then if something does happen, she's not just like shit out of luck because she doesn't know what to do.
Again, education is the gift that keeps on giving. When you have knowledge, people can't take that away from you.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's Sarah, the Queen of Coal.
Damn, girl, that was awesome.
Thanks. Who are you whining about?
So
I'm ready for the depression.
So this was something, it just like popped up on my Facebook, and I couldn't find a ton of information about the person I'm going to be whining about. It was a lot of like repeated information. That being said, I thought it was still a really interesting story to tell. So today I am whining about Miki Endo and The Last Call.
Okay. Like a bar last call or like a telephone call?
We're going to get into it.
Okay.
So let's talk about Earth. Kelley, are you familiar with Earth?
I'm sorry, that was not what I was expecting. And it immediately brought me back to high school with like that one video that's like, so here's the Earth.
It is round.
Like that's immediately where my head went. It's round.
Oh my God. Exactly. End of the world.
Yes, I know of Earth.
There are so many millennials who have just had a core memory unleashed upon their brains.
Yeah.
We'll go take a nap.
And
Set
then
fires and
there
missiles!
are- See, exactly. But I'm late tired.
I can almost
there are
quote
people
that still
like-
today.
Oh, I can quote most of it, and that like 90% of the time when either me or Justin says that we're tired, one of us says, "Well, then take a nap."
Yes.
But now that I know we have some younger listeners, i.e. Sophia, they might not know what we're talking about.
You have to watch it. So early internet videos, like before YouTube, there were
they
just
were
a bunch of
so
like flash
funny.
sites, like Newgrounds and stuff. And people did these like shitty animations using, MS Paint or whatever. And then
And this one was about how the whole world is going to blow themselves up.
Yes, and it's so fucking good.
Pretty funny.
It's so fucking funny. Also, look up Charlie the Unicorn.
Yeah, that's another
And
good one.
shoes. Oh my God, shoes.
Okay.
Let's get some
Or
shoes. Sorry, we're talking about the Earth. It is round.
55.
So
it is round. Damn.
it's also always moving. And I don't just mean like through space, man, or on its axis. The planet is made up of tectonic plates that are always moving, albeit very slowly. Normally, this movement
Until
is
it's not slowly, and then there's earthquakes.
Yeah. Normally, this movement is so slow, we don't even notice it. But sometimes two plates grind and thrust against each other, with the resulting tremors having dire consequences. That's why they didn't want us grinding at high school
It's a lot
dances.
of moaning and noise. Yeah, exactly. They're like, too much is going to happen. It's not okay.
There's too much friction. It's not good for the earth.
Yeah. You're gonna move shit. We don't want shit to move.
Exactly. So there are different types of earthquakes, but the most powerful are called megathrust earthquakes. I don't think I fully understood how sexual
Someone named
this
those.
story was gonna be.
Yeah.
Geology, the sluttiest of the sciences.
I did not know that.
Oh my goodness. So the most powerful are called megathrust earthquakes, and these are caused when one tectonic plate is forced underneath another, resulting in magnitudes of 9 or greater. So I read somewhere it's like since they started recording earthquakes in the 1900s, like 1900, the most powerful ones have all been megathrust.
Okay. That's interesting.
And that is exactly what happened on March 11th, 2011.
Oh, geez. You're going recent.
Yes. And I
was not expecting
you
that.
and I remember this time. We were literally in
Oh,
college together. So an undersea megathrust earthquake occurred at 2:46 p.m. off the coast of Oshika Peninsula in the Pacific Ocean. Though the quake only lasted 6 minutes and occurred 45 miles east of Japan's Tohoku region, it caused a devastating tsunami that would ruin part of this island nation.
Yeah, it was awful.
What would become known as the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami, or the Great East Japan earthquake, was the most powerful earthquake ever recorded in Japan and the fourth most powerful since recording began in 1900.
Wow. That's insane.
I'm like, wait, during our lifetime, we're in the top 4? What?
Yeah.
So the resulting tsunami grew to over 133 feet high as it sped towards the city of Miyako at over 435 miles per hour. The people of the city of Sendai, the largest in the area, only had 10 minutes of warning. With the magnitude of the disaster and the speed at which it moved, every second counted.
That's crazy.
So one of the people tasked with broadcasting these warnings was 24-year-old Miki Endo, or as the Japanese would say, Endo Miki, because last name, first name, but I'm just going to say Miki. Miki worked on the second floor of the Crisis Management Center in Minamisan. Hold on. Sorry, prepared for that. I was just confronted with the word. Minami Sanriku, yes. About 60 miles north of Sendai. So the 3-story building was outfitted with a broadcast antenna feeding into a community-wide loudspeaker system. As the tsunami sped towards the town, Crisis Management Center staff fled to the roof, knowing it may be their only chance to escape before the wave overwhelmed them. Because, like, there will be some pictures in my notes, but it's like a 3-story high box. And the wave gets up to 133 feet high. Like, the building isn't going to help anyone. It's not going to protect anyone.
Yeah.
Only Miki stayed at her post, continuing to broadcast warnings until the wave overwhelmed the 18-foot seawall, building the loudspeakers and the town itself.
Wow.
Of the 40-some staff who fled to the roof, only 11 survived by clinging to the very top of the antenna that sent out the warning broadcasts.
Jeez.
The seaside town of Minamisariku was absolutely devastated. 820 of the town's 17,500 residents were killed, including Miki, but lives were undoubtedly saved thanks to Miki's continued broadcast. Recovery from Minamisariku would be slow and grueling. The main road and railroads to the town had been washed away and cell towers were toppled, leaving citizens without any way to communicate. And like, this is just another reason why those loudspeakers were so important, because communication and everyone getting a message at once is critical, especially when it's basically here. You got maybe 10 minutes to save your life if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Rescuers could only come via the air. Survivors struggled with limited food and water. Poor sanitation led to outbreaks of disease. And of course, the Fukushima nuclear plant to the south, which had suffered a meltdown due to the disaster, was leaking radiation. I'm not even touching that. I'm not even touching Fukushima in this story. Like, that's the only mention, because it doesn't really have anything to do with Miki. But that's also going on. Like, when this was happening, I'm like, oh man, an earthquake hit Japan. No, it was a tsunami. No, it's a nuclear meltdown. It was like, it just kept getting worse. Oh my God. It was so awful. And like, there are parts of Japan that are still completely uninhabitable because of the nuclear meltdown.
Yeah.
So despite the devastation and tragedy, survivors worked to rebuild. As for Miki Endo, her body was recovered on April 23rd, 2011, more than a month after the disaster. And that, obviously, I'm glad that they recovered her body. The idea of a month and a half later, you're still recovering bodies is really chilling. Like, I'm like, that's a really long time to still be finding bodies and trying to identify people.
Yeah.
And for families to not know
insane.
Where their relative is, if they'll be found, if they're dead or alive. Because again, communication wasn't a thing. Because all the cell towers, like, it's just, it's gruesome and it's tragic. I am glad that they recovered her, though. So if you want to go into my notes, you can see the remnants of the crisis management building where Miki worked still stands, only its red steel skeleton remaining. So you can actually see like the second floor where this is not a big building.
No.
And it's bare bones. That, no pun intended, but yeah, it's just like the red steel shell is left.
Oh, there's nothing left except for the steel beams.
Yeah. And you can see the antenna at the top where people were clinging. And let me actually see. I might have a picture. Kelley, I'm gonna send you a link really quick in the chat because it's gonna be easier than trying to copy these pictures over. But in these photos, you can actually see the building before.
Holy crap.
As the water is
people on
rising, as it's overwhelmed, and then in the third photo you can see the survivors clinging to the very
And then
top
at the end.
Yeah.
Well, and at the end where there's just all the stuff from the outside is just gone. You can see all the survivors on the roof in the first picture too.
Yeah, but a lot of those people actually were probably wiped away.
Yeah, that's absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah, the water's coming
it's
in and it's rising. All of these people are on the roof because it's literally the only place that they can go. The second picture you see, you can see the top of the stairs and you can see the antenna. You can see a few people, but the rest of the building is underwater. And then the third photo you can see as the water's receded a little bit and you can see the top of the stairs and the antenna where people still are. But
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the story is about Miki, who stayed at her post to the end, but all of these people were incredibly brave because they were doing their job to warn other people so that they could survive and they could respond to a disaster, and they sacrificed themselves for that work.
Yeah. It reminds me of the one teacher with the tornado that stayed and made sure her students were safe.
Yeah.
You know, that I mean, that is truly that bravery of it is more important to me that other people are safe than it is for me to be safe, you know?
Yeah. So the remnants of the Crisis Management Center building have been left standing as a testament to the bravery of Miki and the others who lost their lives in the line of service. Unfortunately, I couldn't find much about Miki as a person, just information about her staying at her post.
Oh God, I thought for some reason this was somehow going to get
overwhelmed
worse.
The crisis center. There's just this is the story. It's Miki Endo who stayed at her post.
Pretty common in Japan, unfortunately. A lot of times they don't release those personal details and stuff. So unless her family had chosen to, but it is. It's I wish we could know more about her, about what her life was like. You know, did she have family? Did she not? Not that it matters. What she did is amazing, but it would still be nice to be able to know more.
Yeah. I'm sure we know she was much more, and I'm sure all of us, she was a complex person with passions, flaws, and dreams, but we only get to know her by her final act in the face of death. But what an act it was.
Yeah.
And that is the story of Miki Endo and The Last Call. I wish it was about a bar.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. I tried.
Yeah, it would have been better, or it wouldn't have been better, but it would have been less sad, probably.
Well, I mean, if I could, if I had made this up, Kelley, if I wasn't, reporting facts, I would have made her live. If I was in control,
yeah, then it could have been about a bar.
Of this situation at all, Kelley, a lot of things would have gone differently. God.
I suppose,
Are you
Emily
giving me plot feedback about me talking about a real life event?
I am.
It was a good story, but I don't like how she killed off
sass.
the main character at the end.
I mean, that's what I always do when I write, so I can't complain too much.
Well, Kelley, I'm not going to ask you if you want to help someone get married because we already did that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was good times.
Do you want to read the Brave book? Because you have it.
Sure.
Cool.
I do. I got to figure out, what are we on, day 3?
4?
Day 3.
And remember, God has been renamed to Ruby Rubin.
Oh, wait, what?
Because that was the one lady's husband's name, and I felt weird like saying God,
that's
so
right.
I just started saying Ruby Rubin.
Yeah. Okay. Day 4. Look for brave. We haven't been reading the Bible quote, so I'll skip that. Every day I hear story after story of courage. Not a bad gig, to tell you the truth. You sweet people email me, text me, and tag me on the internet as you share your brave stories. And as I travel around the country and speak to groups, you cannot imagine how many stories of courage I get to hear. Each time I think, man, I wish everyone could hear this. There is something super powerful about putting brave on display in your life, in the lives of people you love, in the art you see or read or hear. When we see brave out in the world, it inspires us, doesn't it? I think that's why not only do we need to share our brave, but we need to actively look for it as well. I know you have friends, like I do, who are being braver than they knew they could be in their everyday lives. Do you see brave when you look around your life, in the face in the mirror, as well as in the faces you see when you are gathered with others? Who is displaying courage? Someone battling a disease, acting in spite of fear, chasing a dream? Where do you see brave moments in your family, in your own life, in your friends? Are you reading something that sounds brave? Have you watched a film that reminded you of something brave? Courage is in the arts all the time, and I'm not just referring to Braveheart, though I love Scotland and do find that movie inspiring in so many ways. Sometimes I'll even look for movies or books along a theme that I am struggling with. Most recently, as a new relationship began to grow with a man in a different city, I read a book about a couple who survived a long-distance relationship. I needed their courage to remind me to be brave too, even though they were fictional and, spoiler alert, my relationship ended. I think when you hear other stories, they will sound like your story, and you will realize you are braver than you give yourself credit for, and we will cheer for each other and see courage in each other, and we are all the braver for it. And then at the bottom it says, be brave. When you see brave, say so.
Kelley, I think you're brave.
I think you're brave.
You fucking went.
I think you do so much.
You fucking went back and got your goddamn master's. That was honestly, Kelley, I think that's probably one of the bravest things I've ever seen you do. Because the idea of going back to school, like for me, no.
Yeah.
I love learning. I hate schoolwork though. Which is why I have a podcast where I have to do homework on a weekly basis for some reason. Fuck.
I know. I'm like, you kind of did that to yourself. So
you know what? It's on my terms though, and I get to drink while I do it.
That's true.
I don't think I could show up for
exactly. Like it's the wine that fuels us through it.
I don't think I could show up for like a grad school class with like my little flasks and be like, so what are we learning about today? Let's talk about some sad people who died and like didn't have rights.
Yeah, that
and
sounds
make
about
dick
right.
jokes.
All the dick jokes.
So many dick jokes. So many sexy earthquake jokes.
Hell yeah. It's not our fault that they sound so sexual.
I want to get my hands on a book about earthquakes now and like read it in my sexy wine voice to see how bad it is. The tectonic plates slide against each other and thrust and heave. Mega thrust.
I know, like, I'm just like, whoever named it that, like, had to, like, say it and then, like, look at someone like, you know, like, there's no way you name something that and don't find it funny.
This is my new headcanon. Geologists are the horniest of the scientists. Geology is the sluttiest of the sciences.
Yeah, they're all just super horny.
They're all rock hard.
For rocks.
I mean,
and the earth that is round.
You know, maybe if I'd had this view of geology, I would have pursued it. Because I thought about being a paleontologist because I love dinosaurs so much. But then I learned that how much I would have to learn about, like, just rocks before I even got to the dinosaurs.
Everything else,
And I was like, no. Like, because I love earthquakes.
I
love learning
I'm
about like
good.
tsunamis and like volcanoes and all that and like dinosaurs and all that epic shit. But all the stuff you have to learn about to get there is boring as fuck.
Is a lot. Yeah.
My roommate in college,
No
he
thanks.
actually was like, I kind of want to be a geologist, but there's not a lot of jobs for that. And I'm like, oh, there aren't, are there?
You're like, yeah, because everyone gets too fucking bored.
Yeah. It's because they're all too busy having sex with each other. Horny little rock
I'm so
scientists.
angry.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us as we slander an entire scientific discipline.
You know, why not?
Like us on Facebook at Whining About Herstory, Instagram at WAHPad.
Our website is whiningaboutherstory.com, where you can find a link to all of those things. Our merch, the Buy Me a Coffee Emily mentioned, as well as our Patreon, where you can donate for $1 a month to join us for our happy hour, which is next Wednesday. But also get some extra bonus content.
By the time this comes out, it will be this coming Wednesday.
Yeah, this coming Wednesday.
Yeah. This Wednesday is coming.
Uh,
Mega thrust. Anyway, also raise 5 stars wherever you listen because it gives us the warm fuzzies and pisses off all the right people. It's like a mental mega thrust.
Oh, yeah.
Never gonna stop saying mega thrust.
Nope.
Oh my.
Never stop mega thrusting.
Never stop mega thrusting. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Whining About Herstory. I'm Emily.
I'm Kelley.
Have an empowered mega thrust day. Bye.
Bye.
Why is my sexy bye just like whining?
We'll have to unpack that at some point.